Recommendations. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt a resolution entitled Resolution Number 2014-14, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Wildomar, California, approving the Murrieta Trail conceptual alignment. I'm from Wildomar. Conceptual alignment analysis for use in developing trail connectivity along the Murrieta Creek.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I'd like to introduce Patrick Johnson with National Parks. I also see in the audience a member from Lake Elsinore, Claudia Davis, and Temecula, Matt Peters. I know Colby wanted to be here from your area, he wasn't, and I see about 4 members from the Sierra Club that are here. And I'd like to turn the presentation over to our leader on this project, Patrick Johnson.
Thank you, Dan. Won't take that title as leader, though. I've been facilitating a process amongst 4 cities and community organizations to bring you this concept of the Murrieta Creek Regional Trail. Like Dan said, my name is Patrick Johnson. I'm with the National Park Service. I work for a small program in the Park Service called the Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. And what we do is we provide technical support, technical assistance on community-based projects like this one. We operate a little bit like a grant in that it's a competitive process whereby organizations and groups come to us and request support. Unlike a grant, if you're awarded support from us, you don't get money, you get me. So we operate on a staff time basis. And so it's been my pleasure to have been a part of this project for the past 18 months now. When we commit to a project, we do so on an annual basis. And so this project has actually come forth twice through the application process and been selected twice. So you should be very proud of that. Like Dan mentioned, we have some members of our project team. I just want to acknowledge the hard work, dedication, and commitment. It's not easy to bring different municipalities and different community organizations together and work collaboratively and collectively on something like this. I also would like to have a special call out to the local chapter of the Sierra Club and Terry Biancardi, who's here, along with Pam Nelson, who couldn't make it tonight, but they're actually the organization that submitted the grant. So they're the reason why we're all coming before you today. In addition to the working group, I just want to acknowledge the fact that there are several other vested partners and interested stakeholders who've been part of this process on some level and will continue to need to be a part of this process as this project moves towards implementation, not the least of which would be Riverside County Flood, Riverside County Parks, Army Corps of Engineers, so forth, some of the other organizations you see here. The first thing I just want to say is that the concept behind the Murrieta Creek Regional Trail is definitely not a new one. It's something that's been talked about, looked at, planned for, visioned for years and years. And I know that there's folks here in the audience who've been a part of those discussions as well. So bringing this group together wasn't about reinventing the wheel. It was about seeing how we can nudge the wheel a little further down the path. And what I mean by that is looking at current conditions, looking at current opportunities, and trying to figure out a strategy for how we would move this forward. And so under that, guys, we came up with a couple broad objectives that you see here. One is establishing a unified trail user experience. And so that means that regardless of where you're at along the course of the trail, whether you're in Lake Elsinore, Wildomar, Murrieta, or Temecula, that it's the same experience and there's a continuity across the region. We also wanted to identify regional trail connections, improve agency coordination like I alluded to before, and then of course at the end, provide an enhancement to community resources, both existing and future planned. One of the advantages of looking at the Murrieta Creek corridor is the fact that it does provide a physical linkage between the 4 major cities in the valley here. In addition to that, it offers an opportunity to connect into some other major regional trails. And so what you begin to see is that as you develop and as you look at developing the Murrieta Creek Trail, you're not just looking at a single trail, you're looking at a regional network of trails. And so that becomes even more exciting to think about. Our process in this was fairly straightforward. You know, we inventoried existing conditions, we looked for opportunities and constraints, we identified gaps, and then we got together and we pulled together a strategy for moving forward. And I want to say that that strategy was looking both at short-term and long-term, recognizing the fact that there's going to be some easier portions to this and some more difficult portions. We didn't want to have to wait for the next 10, 20 years for the big development or the huge grant to come through. We wanted to find out, is there a way that we can get access, gain access, and provide a level of a trail link across the corridor in the short term, really, so people can start enjoying it. I'm just going to go through some quick, this is part of our photo inventory out in the different regions. Temecula has several sections that are completed, although somewhat isolated, and there are some conditions, or I should say constraints, towards connectivity, namely in infrastructure with bridges and roadways. You find similar conditions out in Murrieta, with some opportunities to develop potential regional trailheads, particularly at the Murrieta Equestrian Park, which is nearby the corridor. Here in Wildomar, you do have some completed sections. You're following the channel at this point. You do have some existing infrastructure, which provides continuity and connectivity. And then heading out to Lake Elsinore, our intent with reaching out into Lake Elsinore was to identify and to get to the existing levee trail, because that then links into a number of other existing and planned amenities, which would further enhance the overall prospect of this regional trail that we're talking about and the network that I mentioned before. I think at this point I'm going to hand it over to Dan, who's going to go through some of the recommendations, and then we can have some questions.
I don't have the clicker, so I'm going to come on up to the front here, though. But really, our resolution before you today is really kind of a neat one. It's where 4 communities are going to be making presentations to each one of the councils and asking for that commitment to collaboratively seek grant funding, collaboratively work with the Riverside County Flood Control and Parks, and get some kind of an interim trail. In your book, you have we have a list of recommendations. Ours is on page 68 of your booklet, and you'll see for the city of Wildomar, we have several actions that we'd like to complete in the next 6 months to 2 years. And some of those are going to be focusing on trying to open the existing trails we have, get some of the environmental clearances that we need, and get that process going. So any questions of staff, we're available.
Questions?
That's good. That's done well. We did a good job.
We have any public speakers? Yes, we do. Gary Andre?
Gary Andre, I'm former trail commissioner for Riverside County. A little bit wobbly tonight. I had a back surgery where they removed the disc and put a pillow in. So I think it's important enough to be here. So it's been a great group to work with. And right here, several people I want to thank. And the first one is Gary. Gary, when he came on board, first thing he wanted to do is go for drivability look at the trails. What we had where they are. And he pushed and has pushed and pushed. Yeah, Pam with Sierra Club was just incredible too. But what's really incredible, we had a young man get on board in the city council. Been doing the same thing. When he came on board, he wanted to go at the end, drive the trails, see what we had, what we needed to do. And he has been supportive 100%. Right here, Tim Walker's been supportive, so is Bob. I really haven't talked to you two. I know you are, but these are the ones of the main focus of the deal that have helped. But this man has been very dedicated towards it. And we have cities represented here. Matt, great guy. Claudia, great person. What's his name over Murrieta? Colby. Yeah, I had the opportunity as trail commissioner. I'm a mapper. So I mapped the city of Wildomar's trails. I did Elsinore trails. And I also did Murrieta's for them in Memphis. In Wildomar alone, we have 2 connections that connect to the National Forest. That's unheard of in cities. The other city that has that is Elsinore. And they have 2 connections on the far end, and then they have one in their street of influence in Lakeland Village. So they actually have 3. And this is really will help with the environmental issues of gasoline, the prices and stuff, being able to ride your bike. Since 2004, when these trails were open, I walked the trail from Wesley down to Clinton Keith about every 6 weeks, and I take some trash bags and I pick up all the trash. I've done it now for my guys for almost 10 years. And I leave the bags there, and then I call the county, and they come by and pick them all up. And they love it, and all they have is support for us to move forward. And I think this will be a big addition. One thing I'm closing, Murrieta Creek.
Gary, I have to stop you. Oh, we're red lighting. Thank you, though, very much. Thank you. Take care. Next speaker is Ann Kiggins.
Evening, Council. I'm a Wildomar resident, live right off of Graham, so I have access to the creek trail. I'm a horse owner also, so I just wanted to, when the trails are designed to make them a little more horse friendly, the one that runs between McVicker and Clinton Keith, it's a little limited in the size of the riprap that was put at the Clinton Keith end. You can't really ride a horse over. It is just, the rocks are too sharp, they're too big, it's not gravel size, they're just like little boulders, and so it's not horse friendly at all. So you can't even go that way. But I think this is a great idea. I came from the Palos Verdes area, and everyone wants to live on TV Drive North because of the horse trails. So I'm really excited that this project's going through, and if you guys want community involvement, I think it would be better to make it easier for the community to get involved. I don't think there's enough in the paper to say, hey, we need you. And so I think a lot of the horse community would step up. So thank you so much. I'm excited about this.
Next speaker is Connie Nader.
You know what I'm going to talk about. Hi, I live abutting the drainage ditch that is Murrieta Creek. I'm very supportive of the concept, but I have serious concerns about the implementation. So I would like to urge the council to set up some meetings with community groups that border that proposed trail to talk about security issues, because we've already had them in our neighborhood with people in there before dawn. Just recently a sign was posted saying no loitering, no trespassing. A sheriff officer, police officer came to a community meeting and told us, if you see anybody there, call the police. Nobody belongs there. So obviously this proposal will dramatically change that picture. So we need to know where we stand, what's going to be done to protect us. I'm all for parks, I'm all for trails, but I know that there are problems that come with them. And so we do have some serious concerns about that. Thank you.
That's all the speakers I have. Thank you. No other council comments?
I'll make a couple. Thank you, Gary, for those kind words, and for everybody that came tonight, especially the horse community, the concerned citizens. I think this is going to be a big component when we start talking about our park subcommittee. It could also maybe look at trails, and I think I would appreciate the community getting involved with that and lending your voice to that. It's going to be a huge part of that when we move forward. And this isn't, going to happen tomorrow. This is the early planning document. What's really interesting going through this process and being involved with it as much as I was one of the meetings where someone brought the document that was the 1996 basically version of this plan that someone had done and then it had gotten shut. And I'm going to work really hard to make sure that doesn't happen again. I want to see trails in this community. I want to be able to get on my bike and ride down to Temecula and ride back. And I regularly put a bike in my car and drive into Fullerton and go with my buddy on the Fullerton trails. It's time we start bringing those forward to people out here and showing us what we can do. So I'm excited for this. I think this is a great opportunity to move forward with a plan that works and then work with our community members to make sure it works for everyone. So thank you for all the hard work we've put in. I know we have a lot more to do, and I appreciate everyone else being here. Else more? It's hard. So thank you again, and council, I got to say that there's some dedicated people that are working on this. The Sierra Club group that went up and got this funding, thank you. We wouldn't be here tonight talking about this or anywhere near this ahead of the game. We'd still be looking at that 1996 study. So I'm appreciative you found the money to move it forward. Now we got to keep the ball rolling. So
Yeah, when we heard about it, when we first found out that the Sierra Club was going for something like this to try to help to get the trail, and it was not. It's positive because you guys have a lot of clout to help the government wake up around where they're sleeping. So it's been nice, and now that we're seeing how it's all coming together, it does make a difference. We have a lot of people in this town that use those trails every day, and there's a lot of bikes on those, and there's a lot of horses on there also. So I know there's places that even we've already, on the Trails Committee, Cash and I, we've already talked about some of these issues of how to make the connection over the path to the next side and all that kind of stuff, especially for the horses. It is a good thing. I drive for a living, so I'm in a lot of cities, and a lot of cities have really nice systems for people, and you see them all day long. They're running on, they're walking on, they're riding their bikes, and even in Santa Clarita, where our fearless leader has gone to, they have a beautiful system out there, and it's nice to see that. And it's nice to see the people that are involved. And I know that Lake Elsinore, everybody's been really for this also, to get that connection, to keep our whole, because we're not just individual cities here, we're a whole valley. So that's, it's been nice. So thank you very much to the Sierra Club, and definitely for the gentleman from the Forestry Department for coming and helping us out with this.
except for those 6 weeks where you just wouldn't show up. I don't know what's up. Some shut down.
Federal government shut down.
Bridget? Yes, I wanted to say, Gary, for the audience, Marcia and I do approve trails, and I think you have to remember, Gary, I was working on trails with you before we were ever a city up at Riverside. And then we've been walking, Marcia and Swanson and I, and Joseph over here, and Sheila, we've been walking, we've been doing these trails. Everyone can come join us. We walk every weekend, maybe not a trail in Wildomar, we do shake it up. We go to the levee in Elsinore.
She does work.
We've done the river walk, but you have to be careful where you park, because we want to make sure where you park to start that. And we go out to the plateau, but we do walk in Wildomar also. And so I know the papers, we don't have a local paper anymore so much. I really suggest social media. There are several sites out there. There's a Wildomar site, a Windsong site, a farm site, Wildomar Friends and Community site. So that's really how to get the information, how to receive the information out there, because we really don't have so much the local papers anymore.
The day that I walked the Wildomar Creek, I couldn't quite make it to Clinton Keith, almost so, but there were horses, there were a lot of people. I was totally amazed, and I was also very surprised about the backyards backing right up to it, and I understand your concern. I was just totally surprised that, gee, their house is right there, that's their backyard. So we do need to look at something to help shelter the people that live right back against the trail and keep them open for everyone. So I do understand the concern.
And just want to mention, the trail theory, it actually suggests connecting to Regency Park, but I assume through the back, and we actually don't have a gate back there, so we'll have to somehow, the very back, there is no gate.
Well, lots to do in the plan.
Right.
Do I hear a motion?
I would like to move this resolution, to go ahead and move forward with this.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously 5-0.
All right.